If you're thinking about moving to Charlotte in 2025, let me give it to you straight. One decision, just one, can be the difference between feeling like you leveled up or wondering what the hell just happened. Charlotte isn't what you think. It's growing fast, shifting fast, and if you don't know where to land, you'll feel it fast. I've seen people build lives here that they didn't think were even possible, and I've seen others get trapped in the wrong vibe, wrong commute, and wrong zip code just because they followed a TikTok and picked a pretty rental. That's not going to be you. Not after this video. This is the real Charlotte guide, not the polished version where it works, what's changing, and how to get it right the first time. So look, if you're still watching, good. That tells me that we're already a step ahead. You know moving to a new city takes more than scrolling Zillow and crossing your fingers. Because Charlotte, it's not just another metro on the map. It's a living, breathing, fast-moving puzzle. And if you don't know how the pieces work, one wrong move can throw your entire rhythm off. And I get it. Relocating sounds exciting. New job, better weather, more space. But if you pick the wrong neighborhood, or worse, you make the decision based on an outdated YouTube video from 3 years ago, you might land in a place that looks great online, but feels all wrong by week 2. I've seen it happen. People show up with good intentions, land what they thought was a win, and by the 3rd weekend, they're exhausted from the commute. They can't find a decent coffee shop, and don't even like their own block. That's what I want to help you avoid. I want this move to feel aligned, not just on paper, but in your actual day-to-day life. So before you start obsessing over price per square foot or granite countertops, let's talk about feel, about fit, about where your Tuesdays and Saturdays actually feel good. Because trust me, Charlotte is full of great spots, but the hot neighborhoods, they're changing fast. And what worked in 2022 might already feel played out in 2025. Do you ever get that gut feeling like, oh no, we might have screwed this up? I hear that all the time. People show up thinking that they crushed it. Great house, decent price, clean photos, and 3 weeks later, they're stuck in Albemarle traffic with snacks and a podcast just to survive their drive to Uptown. And here's the thing, the house didn't lie, but it didn't tell the whole truth either. Nobody mentions the construction 2 streets over, or that your neighbor welds dirt bikes in the driveway in the middle of the night. It's not about picking the wrong square footage, it's about picking the wrong rhythm for your life. Waxhaw looks dreamy until you're Ubering home from a Panthers game for $57 if you're lucky, and realizing technically you don't even live in Charlotte. Plaza Midwood, unreal vibe, until you've circled the block 5 times, sweating through your shirt, praying for street parking. Most people don't mess up because they're clueless. They mess up because they're aiming at a version of Charlotte that doesn't actually match their lifestyle. Sure, the Zillow screenshots are clean, the Pinterest boards, they're awesome, but this city moves fast. It doesn't wait for you to figure it out mid-lease. That's why we do things differently. My real estate team actually lives here. We help people skip the trial and error stage and land somewhere that just fits, from the first walk to the last light of the day. If that sounds like the kind of move you want to make, our info is in the description below. Reach out when you're ready. No pressure, just a real conversation. But first, if you're wondering which Charlotte neighborhoods actually still hold up in 2025 and which ones just have great PR, let's talk about where the real value lives now. You ever drive through a city and feel like it flipped on you without any warning? Well, that's Charlotte. One left turn and the whole vibe changes. You're cruising on East Boulevard thinking, yeah, I could walk to get sushi here. And then boom, you're stuck behind someone who forgot how to parallel park. That's the deal. Charlotte doesn't reveal itself until you live in it. Take South End as an example. Everyone wants the skyline, the walkability, the scene. And don't get me wrong, it's electric. But the same people who love the motion, sometimes they don't love that half their paycheck goes to valet or that getting a table at Sycamore requires a strategy. I had a client once, dead set on energy. We toured a spot right next to Jenny's Ice Cream. It had rooftop access, killer vibe, and she was glowing. 2 weeks later, she called me. The same DJ 3 nights in a row, I'm losing my mind. A week after that, we're in Villa Heights. Smaller homes, mid-century bones, walkable to NODA without being NODA. And she traded buzz for peace and hasn't looked back. Then there were the folks who go full country core. Straight to Waxhaw. Big lots, quiet nights, no sirens. But 5 school runs and 1 gas bill later, they're texting me asking if Matthews is still cool enough to feel connected. See, it's not just about location. It's about what a Tuesday feels like. Where are you grabbing your coffee? Can you walk your dog without hearing a saxophone solo or a midnight street race? Does your gym require a podcast-length drive, or can you actually get in, lift, and live? Now here's the thing. Some of these underrated pockets, they're not going to stay that way. Wesley Heights, it's transforming in real time. Townhomes are going up next to 1940s bungalows, and you can bike to a Panthers game without breaking a sweat. Loso, it's finally locking in its own rhythm. Coffee shops, rooftops, and yeah, that thrift store with a wine bar in the back. It used to be a pass-through, now it's a stay here zone. But don't get caught chasing neighborhood names like they're brand names, because names won't save you when you realize that you hate your morning routine. If you're watching this thinking, I don't even know what fits me, that's fine. Most people don't. That's where we come in. You tell me how you want to feel when you wake up, and we reverse engineer the zip code and the neighborhood. Now, neighborhoods aren't shifting just because people want more space or less noise. The whole board is being redrawn underneath us. Roads, transit, development zones. That's what's rerouting Charlotte in real time. So let's talk about what's really driving those changes, because this next part, it matters way more than people think. Charlotte gives off this easy win energy when you first scroll Zillow. Bigger homes, cleaner listings, better weather. It feels like you're leveling up. And honestly, you probably are. But the real cost, it doesn't show up in the listing photos. It shows up after you move in, drip by drip, fee by fee. That townhome that you scored in Ballantyne, right down the street from here, HOA hits you for $420 a month, and you don't even get pool access until July. Your Duke Energy bill spikes because the AC has been working overtime, and then a flyer shows up. Your trash pickups are moving to Tuesdays, but your bill isn't. I had a client land a rental in Loso. Seemed like a killer deal. But once the pet rent, valet trash, mystery tech fee, and $110 a month for a parking spot that they couldn't even choose stacked up, they were paying South Park rates without the South Park experience. And don't even get me started on taxes. You cross into Union County for the great schools. Awesome. But your property tax just jumped 20% overnight because the zip code changed, not the house. This isn't about fear. It's about foresight. Those $8 parking fee outside your favorite Noda dinner spot, the enrichment fee that somehow doesn't cover anything but crayons, this stuff adds up fast if you're not prepared for it. But here's the thing, this is all manageable if you know what's coming. You don't need to be a financial planner, you just need someone who's done this before. That's where we come in. We help clients break this down line by line. What looks good on paper, what actually fits your lifestyle, and where you're about to be nickel and dimed without realizing it. Charlotte isn't expensive by default, but if your life doesn't match your zip code, you'll feel that friction. And with everything changing from school zones to streetscapes, that friction, it's gonna hit a little faster than you might think. Which brings us to the next big shift, Charlotte's infrastructure. Because the city you move into in 2025 will definitely not look the same by 2027. Trying to drive through Charlotte during rush hour lately, it's like playing traffic roulette with road closures, new cones, and GPS instructions that feel like a dare. But here's the thing, all that chaos, it's pointing somewhere. Take the Silver Line light rail. They've finally broken ground on it, stretching from Matthews to Uptown, through areas like the Commonwealth area, Bojangles Coliseum, even touching parts of Elizabeth. Those stops, they're like future gold mines. If you're renting nearby right now, you could be sitting on a 5-minute commute to downtown or uptown in 2 years. And this isn't just a rail, it's reshaping neighborhoods block by block. Places like Oakhurst, which used to be a pass-through zone, are now on every developer's radar because of transit that's giving you direct access. If you're hunting for value, this is where it lives for now. Same goes for Ballantyne. People only think of it as cul-de-sacs and golf courses, but that's changing fast. The Ballantyne Reimagined District, where we are right now, is rolling out pedestrian plazas, mixed-use builds, and even its own amphitheater, like right there. There are literal cranes in the air near Johnson Road every morning. You can almost feel it becoming its own city. Quick pause, because I want to hear from you. If you had to choose, would you rather live near a brand new light rail stop or in a neighborhood getting a full streetscape upgrade? Drop your pick in the comments. We want to hear your take. Now, back to it. West Charlotte, it's another one that's flipped the script. Used to be overlooked. Now, you've got zoning shifts happening off Freedom Drive, transit updates off Tuckasegee, and even boutique developments popping up where car washes used to stand. And this matters before the transformation is finished. Because by the time that ribbon cutting ceremony shows up on the news, it's too late. The homes are priced up. The rentals are full. The roads are clogged again. But now you're on the wrong side of the map. So the smart moves, yeah, they're happening while the sidewalks are still wet and the detours are still kind of confusing. We help people make those moves all the time. If this part's stressing you out, the timing, the trends, what's worth betting on, you're not alone. Charlotte's blueprint is shifting fast, but if you read it right, you stay ahead of the spike. Because infrastructure isn't just city planning, it's lifestyle mapping. And right now, Charlotte's blueprint is shifting faster than ever. I still remember pulling up to that bungalow on East Boulevard in Dilworth. The sun was blazing, groceries in hand, and I thought, this is perfect. 3 days later, we're carrying sodas and cereal uphill to a condo in the same complex. The sidewalk's overheating, the AC's blasting, and there's no room for a bike. She looked at me and said, "Who designed this? Mars?" A family we worked with moved into Birkdale Village. Loved that Whole Foods and Smoothie King mix by their place. Until dinner time hit and they realized that no one delivers to their street. They ended up Ubering to the plaza for milk and eggs at night. Delivery zone, stranger danger. I can't count how many people say peace and then choose Marvin or Waxhaw. But the second time they miss brunch because the drive takes an hour, they're reconsidering. One weekend, they spent more time in their van than they did out enjoying the yard that they actually moved there for. Real talk, your week should flow effortlessly and not feel like a battle. You love your Saturday lie-in? Skip areas near Carmel's Fairfax homes. They'll wake you up with leaf blowers and weekend leagues at dawn. You want light, yard, and a walkable dining? Try Chantilly. Morning sun through the oaks? Yes. But you're also 2 miles from Rooster's wood-fired kitchen and Vespa's gelato. We had a couple with Noda Bungalow until they realized that parking wars and loud porch concerts were costing them sleep. So they moved over to Villa Heights, spent the same amount of money, got a little yard, a neighborhood feel, and they can actually sleep through the night. Or the Ballantyne family that thought that big bedrooms mattered. 2 weeks in, they hated the cul-de-sac silence and the grocery challenge. We helped them find a spot in South Park, Trader Joe's, park access, quieter evenings, and closer to Uptown. It isn't about square footage, it's about friction. That warm grocery lift uphill, that tag on delivery cost, that doorbell at midnight, they wear you down. Drop a comment with your top weekend must-haves. Is it Starbucks commutes? Space to play? Nightlife? I'll help you figure out which Charlotte rhythm fits you, not someone's Instagram. Because choosing right, that's when the well-planned move becomes the move that sticks. If you felt that little gut check during this video, good. That means you're paying attention. Charlotte rewards people who show up ready, not people who assume it'll all work out. You're not chasing some dream move. You're trying to build something that fits how you actually live. Your mornings, your weekends, your Tuesdays or Wednesday nights. That's where we can help. This isn't some cookie cutter process. We're locals. We've watched people win and watched people totally miss the mark because no one told them what to look for. So if your 2025 move is creeping closer, cut the guesswork. You don't need more tabs. You need someone who can help you filter the noise. Our team's info is down below in the description. Use it when you're ready. And if you want to keep locking in where Charlotte really works for you, that playlist has the rest of the map. Appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.